And it can be cool because you can actually record your first lesson for anybody who's absent. I mean, just like in classroom practice. Or if you wanted to, create something ahead of time, you could, annotate like this. You could annotate a presentation and just talk over your slides. And then the kids can actually watch that as like a flipped model. So Screencastify is a cool little extension. You get 10 minutes for free, but you could always record 10 minutes. If you needed more, just do a second recording and kind of post them both. And I'll show you at the end. It basically loads the video, and then it's stored in your drive, and you can share it. That's a whole nother day of presentations. This one, we're looking at Google Draw. Yes, Mary? Okay. It's not working? So here's one thing. No, actually, let me help you through this. This is actually like a redirect link. So if you were to search Google for it, my guess is Google doesn't know draw.mroristech.com. But if you were to type it up here, if I type draw.mroristech.com, it doesn't redirect you? No. So we will. All right. But then it didn't go to where it was supposed to go. Okay. So we'll punt and we'll do a teachable moment. Has anybody used Google Shortener? All right, good. All right. So Google Shortener is GOO.GL. This site is actually where you could take these really long, horrible links and you could paste them in. So I'm going to take that site and I'm going to post it or put it in Google Shortener. I'll tell it I'm not a robot. And I'm going to shorten that link for you. So now, instead of saying draw.mroristech.com, since that was an epic fail, I will tell my students, if you type in that same bar at the very top, GOO.GL / these 6 characters, which are case sensitive. So FMB 3ZM. Instead of Mr. Oris Tech, if you type this in your web browser, then it should take you there. Chris, give me some affirmation. Yes! Sorry, I'll get out of the way. There we go. So you could do this. Now, Google Classroom is awesome because it takes all those really long links and lets the kids just click on it. But for something like this where, maybe different people from all different buildings, Google Shortener is a way you can provide a link that's really short. And all this will do is when you type that in, it will redirect you to our presentation. So I apologize. I'll blame Eric. You're used to it? So here's what I'd like to kind of take away from our session. If you read our description already, I apologize, but good to kind of start with a session goal. Google Drawings is an extremely useful classroom tool with a little creativity. We can replace many outside Google programs. If you've ever used ThingLink, it's a picture that you can put little spots of hyperlinks on, but it can be hard to use. Paint, which is a great Microsoft program, but your Chromebook can do it with Google Drawings. Some whiteboard software, and best of all, it's stored in the student's drive, so it can be found, edited, shared. So that's what we're going to do. We've got kind of a list of things I want to cover on how Google Drawings can be really beneficial in any type of classroom. So these are our basic overview, how you can use Google Drawing for layered pictures, like your kids can create, assignment templates, hyper drawings. Has anybody heard of HyperDocs? Has anybody heard of WebQuests? WebQuest, basically a website that allows you to click and it goes to resources. So a HyperDoc, and you guys probably do this without even knowing it's called a HyperDoc, it's a Google Doc where you've got instructions, but you might have a link on it that when the kids click it, it goes somewhere, right? That's called a HyperDoc. Well, HyperDrawings is the same thing. It's basically a picture, a drawing that allows students to click on parts of the picture and it will take them to a different page. How it can be used as a graphic organizer for educational games, embedded in Google Docs, how you can use it to share student work. I've got a math problem example, and then if we have time, maybe some other uses. Okay, so is anybody needing any help getting to this?
It's not even connecting to the internet, it just keeps.
You know what, this might have been the one I had. Is there any other?
Right here too.
Good, all right.
Anybody else?
Sorry. But which one was it? That orange dot one? There you go.
Yes.
Trying to fix it. Okay, and then I'll help you get caught up. Well, we're going to leave that up there so that you can get there. So first, layered pictures. This is actually a type of, my Google slide presentation. Maybe you could call it hyper slides because those are all links. Those blue or green underlined words. When you click them, they will take you to different pages. So this one, I started gathering student work, kind of projects that we've been creating as examples. So Mr. Hartong's 7th grade social studies class was learning about manners. And typically, they had done manners or drawings on paper. And that's a great tool. Many of our kids are still textile learners where they want to draw it out. But he started providing them the option to use Google Drawings to create the same thing. Okay? And over time, he's kind of made it so that if you look at these, they've got text boxes, they're layered pictures. There's even kids, we made it a requirement this year to add GIFs into them, pictures that move automatically. So these are a couple examples. And what I'd like to do is maybe just show you a quick way where you can either build your own to show or have your kids use it. So as you can see, I mean, this is a great visual for kids. I mean, they're talking about how the manor is usually up on the hill or the castle, and how the drawbridge, sorry, not the drawbridge, but how the water mill is always located, near a water source. It creates power. And the kids did these, our 7th graders did these in Google Drawings. Okay, so if you're looking at any of these examples with me, at the very top of that page, if you click Google Drawings, it will actually go to the Google Drawing homepage. And drawings is just, I guess this would be a good thing to add too. Yes.
So looking at what Hartong's kids did.
Yeah.
How much time did they need to explore like all the skills associated with doing it? Did you walk them through that at all, or?
Well, Mrs. Wilson's done it too, right?
But not to the action part.
Sure, not the gifts part.
Right.
Do you want to touch on that for your experience?
This is the 3rd year we've done it now, and the first year was rather confusing, and now the kids seem to know what to do, and I don't have to say anything to Kevin's. I mean, because
So they got some
they're
experience
picking it
with
up
it.
somehow.
And they're doing a couple different.
Right.
But I would venture to guess. I mean, how many teachers use Google Draw for anything? Maybe just here to learn about it.
Yeah.
All right. So our kids are actually, and this especially at the middle school level, with at least a subject, they're using Google Draw. So maybe I should, rewind this and reel it in a little bit. Google Drawing is just an app like, or a Google tool like Google Docs is and like Google Slides is. And it's found, if you look in your Google Apps icon, it's probably found in some of these, or it is found easily in your Drive. So the benefit of Google Drawing, as opposed to some other things that are external, as I said, it's stored in Drive, and it can be easily shared and edited. So if I were to pop over to my Drive like a student, and it is slow. Got a lot of tech going on in the building right now, I think.
Is Google Draw something we could add to the Chromebook surface? Or
The bottom left?
Yeah.
I think it can be added. Ooh, good grief. Oh, there we go. Okay. So in your Drive, when you click New, you're always provided the main 3 Google options, right? Google Docs, I'm sure Google Sheets, and Google Slides. But of course, Google has much more than just those. In More, you find other things like teachers a lot are using Google Forms. And there's Drawings. So what Google Drawings is it's just a program that can be used to do all sorts of drawings. So when you open it up, it looks like a Google Doc to me because it has a lot of the tools, but you get a blank canvas. And what our students were presented with was, okay, here's this blank canvas. You've just learned about Google Manners, or not Google Manners. You just learned about manners and where different buildings are and what features need to be included in their property, like the fields and having spots for animals. So they used all of these tools to kind of build those different features. So I'll start with insert because there's a lot of easy things that kids can insert to a Google Drawing. And no matter what your topic is or what your project is, if they want to do a text box, an image, put in a chart, even lines and shapes, just like we might have been used to in Microsoft Word had all of these things, but Google Drawings is where those things can be easily used. And if I pop back over just to look at some examples, just to kind of go through what these students use, so you could tell this student did a lot of picture inserts. So what they did is they went to insert. They wanted to, they had an idea of what they were looking for. So they might have just went straight to search the web and they might have searched for castle. Okay? So they could have chosen from all of these images that were of real castles, or they could have added some other terms like castle clip art. And now they've got, instead of those pictures, they've got all of these. And I think some of those look familiar. So then when they find the one they want and they click on it, they can just insert it like a picture and start to build their own layout. So this is a really big one. It's just a picture. The picture of this is like a blank canvas. They could move it around within that. They could make it bigger and smaller and rotate it, change its color. Google Drawing has a lot of these tools where if we said to a class, you're going to create a new book cover for the novel you read, a lot of students would love to pick up a pencil and paper and create one by hand. But we could give the other option of, well, if you'd rather use some tech tools, here's Google Drawing, use this to create a new book cover. And they could add the main scene in the background, and they could add the title, and they could add the author. There's a lot of things that Google Drawing allows them to do. Layer, that's a great question. So let me actually go there next. This student obviously has a lot going on in there. Actually, they all do. They have a lot going on in their image. So I just added a castle, and now let's say I want to insert, put a circle around it too.
Trying to figure out how to
Okay.
insert shapes.
Sure, I'll go through all that as much as I can. So I'm gonna search for rolling hills. Let me just see what I got. All right. So let's say I want this to become my background. Now, if you think about it, the first thing I added was the castle. The second thing I'm adding is the rolling hills. And if I extend this, I've actually done these a little out of order, my guess is. My rolling hills are now on top of my castle, right? If I thought better of it, I'd start with the background, then add things on top of it. But this is going to happen no matter what. Well, because it's basically creating layers like blankets, when I position this out and I get it the way I want it, arrange is the tool within Google Docs or Google Draw, too many presentations today, within Google Draw that allows me to set my order. Okay, so my rolling hills is on top of my castle. Okay, let me reorder this. So I've got my rolling hills background selected. I'm going to go to arrange, the order, and I'm going to send my hills backward or to the back. And now my castle is on top. And I could move it around. I could put it on top of the hill. So you could actually have, now in a lot of these pictures, the students are using Google Drawing. And they've got backgrounds and they've got birds flying over the castle and they've got fish in the water. And they just search for, flying birds GIF rather than like a JPEG, a static picture. And it just adds a little extra option.
Question.
Yeah.
What about documenting your source? Do you have to give recognition to
So I've purposely.
Citing your source, I'm sorry.
Sure. I've purposely not done one thing. I purposely haven't gone separate to Google and searched for my own images with license restrictions.
So
So-
what you're saying is if you do it through Google, through that, through image, and something comes up, image or whatever,
Yes.
you do not have to cite that then? Because we came up with that, we did
Yeah.
a slideshow presentation, and, you know, we were doing Maya and things like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, images come up and cite everything, I'm trying to go hard at fourth grade.
Fourth grade.
Fourth and fifth grade.
Yeah.
But there's no way to cite it, so you're saying that that's common, you don't have to then?
So within Google now, when I search for Google Images, I see this box. Only select images that you have confirmed that you have the license to use. Well, the Creative Commons license agreement. When I search through Google, let me actually, since this is a really good question, and probably one that a lot of people think of, and then some people might not think of. Let me search for Castle real quick through Google, and let me search through, and I'll try to keep this brief because I want to spend as much time on drawing. No, that's okay. No, it's important. Well, in the tools of an image search, you'll find usage rights. Okay, so the usage rights has right now when I search Google, these are not filtered by license. So I'm seeing every image out there. Okay, the main thing I would say is, are you benefiting financially from using that picture? Are you claiming it as your own? Well, typically our fourth graders aren't using it. I mean, they're not. But you could change this to say, you know what? If I search this to labeled for reuse with modification, these pictures have been put on the web with the permission that anybody could reuse them and anybody could modify them. And what Google does in that search within right here, within Google Drawings or within Google Docs, that's like the default setting. So when I search for Castle here, I'm not going to get the whole list. I bet you I'm going to see the exact pictures here that I see with this image search that has the right license, the right like filter. So and I would not claim to be the expert by any means in that. That's a little bit I know, but your media specialist is like way up here compared to me on knowing that. I would if you've got concerns.
I did, that's what I'm asking.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Alex, you said, how did you get the flying bird in there?
Oh, that's called a GIF. So if now let's see that one next. So if I did birds GIF, you might let's see images. You might not find too much within drawing on GIFs. This is where our students did take that step to go to a new tab, search for a GIF, and that they downloaded or copied and pasted over. But GIFs are just simply moving images. You go on social media, you probably see more GIFs than you see static pictures anymore. Let me get back to one question I skipped a long time ago, shapes. Did you figure out shapes?
Yeah.
So a lot of these students were using shapes. I've been kind of highlighting, it's just taking forever to click back. I've been kind of highlighting the one student that used a lot of these clip art pictures, but if you're on the examples, you'll see the student that has all shapes. They use squares and circles and lines to create the look that they wanted. So instead of just, anybody could search the web, find a castle and drag it in, right? The idea Mr. Hartung was assessing, do they know where all of these things are placed? Well, this student decided, I'm not going to go to the web and find a tree. I'm going to create my own with circles. And instead of finding a farm, like I think their farm, let's see, they've got them labeled. Oh, fields. Look, they got a picture of a field. This student, their picture of a field is 4 rectangles that they drew lines on to represent the field. And this is their castle compared to this castle. Well, they just searched for castle, dragged it in. They took a rectangle, added the 4 corners with circles, added little squares to represent probably, where the archers stood, and they created basically their own. I think there was another one that did the same. And these students, same class, given the same instructions, it's kind of cool to see how students will take even a vague set of instructions, give them a little freedom, tell them what you expect, and how they come up with these different ideas and strategies. So there's the same thing at the top. This student looks like they used almost all pictures they found, whereas this student used all inserting shapes. And I think it's a great mixture. I don't think anything's wrong with either of them. Yes.
This might be a little more complex in this program, or even using it to do, it's a way that you like
Oh, yeah. So her question is basically how this is slow. Like I think the fields is a great one. This just looks a little out of place to me because it's got a square around it. And she was asking if she found a picture, can Google, here's another one. That's supposed to be maybe an animal in the tree. But you can see the background doesn't quite fit in. So Google Drawing won't allow you to like draw around the border. Yeah, that's like Photoshop. But what you can do, and this is a good thing in a Google image search also, that's a great skill. And this is not just for Google Drawing, but I would say for Google Slides or anything that uses pictures.